The mall was loud with weekend chatter, the kind of noise that hid cruelty in plain sight. Near the center court, a little black girl stood surrounded by uniformed men. Her small hands trembled as one officer smirked and tightened his grip on her backpack. She wasn't crying, not yet, but fear shimmered behind her eyes. Then the sound of boots echoed across the marble floor. Slow, controlled, deliberate. And for the first time, the officer's laughter began to fade. To understand what really happened that day, we have to go back a few minutes. Before the laughter, before the silence, before the name Commander Brooks was even whispered. It started with a misunderstanding and a prejudice that nearly cost 3 men their careers. Maya Brooks, 11 years old, bright smile, top of her class, and had wandered into a tech store looking for a birthday gift for her mom. She wore her school hoodie, her braids tied with red ribbons, and carried herself with the quiet confidence her mother taught her. Head high, voice calm, never let anyone decide your worth. But when she stepped out of the store, an older woman at the kiosk frowned and whispered to a mall guard. Within minutes, 2 officers showed up. "Hey, kid," one said, blocking her path. "What's in the bag?" Maya blinked. "Just a gift, sir." "Uh-huh," he said. "You got a receipt for that?" She reached for it, hands shaking. But before she could show it, the other officer grabbed the bag. The crowd began to form, phones raised, whispers spreading like wildfire. "Sir, please, my mom's waiting for me." "Your mom, huh?" The tall one mocked. "What's she gonna do? Call the PTA?" Maya hesitated, then said softly, "My mom's in special operations." They laughed, loudly. One officer slapped his knee. "Special ops? That's cute. You've been watching too many movies, sweetheart." "I'm telling the truth." "Sure you are," he said, stepping closer. "How about we call your imaginary mom right now, huh?" He took her phone from her pocket, and that's when Maya whispered, "You shouldn't have done that." If you're still watching, like and subscribe, because what happens next changes everything. 10 minutes later, the mall entrance doors opened. A woman in a black coat walked in, tall, still, composed. Her hair was neatly tied back, her ID badge half tucked under the collar of her jacket. 2 guards moved to block her. She didn't raise her voice. She just looked at them, one sharp, assessing glance, and they stepped aside without a word. The officers were still laughing when she reached them. "Excuse me," she said evenly. "You're detaining a child. I'd like to know why." "Ma'am, this is official police business." She cut him off. "No, it isn't." The shorter officer frowned. "And who are you supposed to be?" She pulled out a slim black case from her jacket pocket and flipped it open. The badge gleamed gold beneath the fluorescent lights. "Commander Elena Brooks, U.S. Army Special Operations Command." The laughter died. The taller officer stammered. You're military?" "Yes," she said. "And that child you mocked?" "She's my daughter." For a second, no one spoke. The mall seemed to hold its breath. Then slowly, Elena's gaze dropped to Maya, who was standing silent, clutching her ripped backpack. "You okay, baby?" Maya nodded, voice trembling. They didn't believe me." Her mother turned back to the officers, calm but terrifying in her control. "Then let me educate you." She took a step closer, her tone dropping into command precision. "You racially profiled and detained a minor. You confiscated her property. And you mocked her for speaking the truth. Ma'am, we were just following—" "You were following bias, officer," she said sharply. "And bias has consequences." One of the guards tried to speak up. "We didn't know who you were." "That's exactly the problem," she replied. "You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with respect." Within minutes, the mall's manager and 3 higher-ranking officers arrived, called in by witnesses. The crowd had doubled, cameras flashing everywhere. The commanding officer tried to take control, but Elena's presence dominated the room. She handed him her credentials and calmly explained every detail of the violation. Precise, factual, unflinching. "Commander," he said, voice tight, "we'll handle this internally." "No," she said, "you'll handle it publicly. Because humiliation was public, and so will accountability." The 2 arresting officers were ordered to stand down immediately. Their names and badge numbers were taken on the spot. Elena turned to her daughter and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Let's go home, Maya." As they walked toward the exit, the crowd parted in silence. The phones lowered. The same people who had whispered earlier now stepped aside, eyes wide with something between awe and shame. Outside, the evening light spilled across the parking lot, golden, almost soft. Maya glanced up. "Mom?" "Yes, sweetheart." "Were you scared for me?" Elena smiled faintly. "For a second. But then I remembered, you're my daughter. You were never really in danger." Back inside, the officers' radios buzzed non-stop. Internal Affairs had already been notified. A video of the incident, from the laughter to the reveal, was already spreading online. By nightfall, headlines were everywhere. Special Ops Commander confronts police misconduct in mall incident. But for Elena Brooks, it wasn't about revenge. It was about dignity. That night, as she tucked Maya into bed, her daughter whispered, "They won't forget you, Mom." Elena kissed her forehead. "Good," she said softly. "Maybe next time they'll listen before they laugh." The mall forgot the noise, but it never forgot the silence that followed when Commander Brooks arrived.